Good morning and welcome to Trading with Larry. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Glad to be back with Eric Shamalov coming to you live. I guess you got your Padres hat on. You're ready to go.
I'm in the zone. It's a Monday. The hat helps.
Yeah. Well, listen, midweek last week we had a little sell-off, really more Nasdaq than S&P. It didn't last, and now Nasdaq's breaking basically higher into one day Friday, and before the opening today, it's up another 150. I'm really trying to figure out what the clue is to even get it going. It's funny. The dollar was strong midweek, and then the market went down, and bonds were weak again and again and again, and the market went down. And then when the bonds were weak, the market went up on Friday, and now the bonds are a little bit strong, still 415 on the yield, which is high. Probably next move up to 4.25. Dollar is a little bit weak today. Oil was going straight up on Friday as the market was going up. Now it's going down, and the market's still going up. And gold, which looked bad, now looks incredible on the highs, and market's still going up. So
The
that's
real, the real story there. The real story there is silver.
yeah, yeah. Silver
I
is
mean that.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to use silver. They're going to use silver in data centers. So you got that. And then, I keep talking about this webinar that I'm going to be running about this unbelievable idea that my other analyst came up with to trade nat- natural gas, okay, with the theme of AI. So we've come up on a couple of really good stocks that we think will act well, and I think nat gas could be the next big thing that moves off this. But it's been moving up a little, so we'll see. And markets are higher. It was funny. They basically opened lower last night overnight, ran right off the opening, were up about 15 all night, and then off the European Open, which is kind of strange because the European stocks are at best flat today. DAX is actually lower. I guess that's bullish, right? If the DAX is lower, we go up. If the DAX is higher, we go up. So we're in that we go up phase of the market. It's a little surprising to me that, get your thoughts on it, that, we're coming into a government shutdown, which generally, generally leads to a, sketchy market that ends up being okay because eventually they do a deal, but there have been times where we've been shut for over a month, and the market doesn't love that. And I think both sides are very far apart unless you have some information saying differently. And Trump wants to fire everyone. I saw this morning he threatened he'll fire everyone. Well, if there's a government shutdown and you're not getting paid, isn't that essentially like you're being fired or you're not being paid? So I don't know. But really,
Yeah. It's interesting. The government shutdown. I think the first thing it's going to affect is economic data releases, which we don't have a lot on the schedule. So
well, we certainly do this week. This is a huge week. This is one of the biggest weeks of the year. We got unemployment on Friday, which is, as you know, the most important number in the history of numbers because that's what they say on every jobs number. And whatever it is, it's not, you know, it's not going to show negative job growth no matter what. I mean, they're gonna throw everything at it and try to keep the jobs growth positive. They don't want to upset Trump. They don't want firings. They want everything to be, pretty copacetic. So, but for this week, there are, you have the whole job slate.
wait. So by that logic, as we approach the midterms, we should start to see declining job numbers.
Why would we start to see declining job numbers?
Well, then if they, they'll put out the numbers to go against Trump.
Who is? Those are his people. He
Are
fired
they?
everyone. He's got his people in there now. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think the BLS is controlled, pretty much by those guys. But we'll see. We'll see what the number looks like. It's just surprising to me the the lack of I don't know if I'd call it fear because no one will be fearful. The only way people are going to be fearful is if we correct 20-25%. Then people are going to get really fearful. I've said this before, the longs are, you know, very touchy to any down days or down moves. So they haven't, we talked a little before we got on the air. There hasn't been a 1% down day in S&P in 2 months. That's pretty amazing. Okay, 2 months and there's been one, and then you probably have to go back another 2 months to get another, or 3 months to get another. So it's been a steady freight train up. Everybody's loving the ride and doing well. I just caution, that things don't last forever. And I'm just looking at a market that doesn't care really about much. Like if bonds were down today, would that affect the market?
Well, it hasn't been affecting the market
I
after
understand.
the.
So the answer is no. It's a question. Okay. So probably no, I would say. Okay. If oil is down today, would that affect the market? Want me to answer it
Oil's
for you?
already it's already
I
down.
understand that, but would that affect the market in a positive or negative way? Only in a positive way. If oil was up, it would affect the market in a positive way. Gold could go up another 2,000 points, market irrelevant. So what do you make of this? Like that, you know, as a trader or someone that watches the market, you got to look for some type of clues, whether it's data or other markets moving or things out there other than, what was that? It was an album a long time ago. It was called Rage in the Machine. And I think it was a Police album. And that's what it is. It's Rage in the Machine. It's just if the machine listen, if we were down 1.5% today, this market would be in a burning inferno of selling. Okay. But since we're up, the machine is okay and it can manipulate the market higher pretty much until they can't. Maybe we'll get a trading day today. I bought some puts out for Wednesday after the potential government shutdown, and they're bid to the moon. So I don't know what that means. They're bid to the moon. I had to pay down 120 points for a $3 option. 120 points. It's only 2%. But like I said, we haven't had a 1% down day in 2 months. So, I'm wondering why they're so bid, but yet our stock market is so bid up today. It's kind of weird. And looking at volatility, I know they smushed it on Friday, but the cash VIX is up 4.25% today. Why would that be? I know they smashed it on Friday, but it's weird to me. If the market is so okay, why is that? Like what I'm saying to you is no clue means one thing. Like you were Mr. VIX for freaking 3 years, dude. Every day I had to listen to you. Oh, the VIX is up and the market's up and the market's gonna come in. Now you don't even mention it. you
It's
did
irrelevant.
you did that every day for years.
Yeah, because maybe the VIX was above 20 and it gives really nice signals when it's above 20, but when
I,
it's down here, it doesn't give you anything.
Above 20.
Nothing.
Let me explain something to you, okay? The VIX on a consistent basis hasn't been above 20 in years, okay? Years and years and years. Yes, there's been a couple of spikes off of crashes or whatever, or down moves, but the VIX does not trade above 20. It does not trade above 20. Okay. It could go to 20 and then maybe go to 35 or 40 on the down move, but it does not trade above 20. It doesn't. For years and years and years, I could tell you that it does not trade above 20. There is maybe a period of a month or two, or you get a COVID spike or one of these things, but VIX does not and never has traded above 20. I'm just letting you know it does spike above 20, and it has many many times, but it doesn't trade. VIX trading is anywhere from 12 to 18, I would say. So we're like mid-range of VIX, but yes, it does spike. But for period, we should run a study. I'll have Thomas run a study of how long the VIX, when it goes above 20, stays above 20, how many days. And I will say this: after COVID, it stayed above 20 for a very long time, where it probably should have
Well,
been.
200 day moving average right now on the VIX cash is like 19 and a quarter. So pretty close to 20. That's your 200-day moving average on the VIX.
You know what I'd like to know? I think we broke the 50-day moving average on Thursday, and then the market, like, where's the 50-day on the S&P? I mean, you know, I follow an analyst who I think is very, very good, and they're I don't even know how the guy's looking. He's looking for a move down to 6,100. 6,400 is a level in the sand, and then a breakdown of another 5% down to 6,100. I mean, I don't know. But listen, on the year, we're running out of time. We're closing on the third quarter. We're going into the fourth quarter. S&P's up 12% for the year, another unbelievable year for the S&P. And the level of complacency is at epic complacency. And I just think that they're, you know, David Einhorn wrote an article basically about AI and AI spending, and basically how it's going to be the next real catalyst. And I kind of think that. I mean, think about it. If you're locked into spending hundreds of billions of dollars, even though most of these guys aren't locked in, and it doesn't pan out the way you think it's going to pan out, you're taking massive losses in here, massive. So I think. I think the story hasn't been written. It's The tape is very interesting. We just continue to go up every day. You figure usually quarter end, month end, you get some rebound. I mean, the rebalance for this end of quarter, unless it's basically been done, it's got to be pretty big. I mean, listen, the weightings on Nvidia, Apple, I mean, they've gone up significantly this quarter. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how they're going to deal with the reweighting of those positions where people are um, overweight those stocks. So, we'll see. Um, you know,
Well, speaking of rebalancing and reweighting, I like to track fund flows between certain ETFs. So, like this is the QQQ versus the S&P 500 fund flows. So on September 17th, that was the day of the Fed. You had the biggest 1 day inflow into Q relative to SPY of the year. And down here, this is your net accumulation of the Nasdaq ETF versus S&P 500. That kind of topped out on the 17th. Now, the index has gone up since then, and but it's come off its high. So maybe the rebalancing has been done around quad witching already.
I don't really think so, but maybe. I mean, that would be very early. I mean, these markets are they're wild. They're actually wild. They're not even real. We never go down. It's like last week. Listen, I've been doing this a long time, and quad witching plays a huge role. Okay, and the market actually did what it probably should have done midweek last week, where everybody cashed out. Market trades lower. Nasdaq. What was the low last week in Nasdaq? I'll bet you it was like 400 or 500 points from here. I mean, it's a good number. Um, I don't know if you could pull that up, but the market sold off a little bit, and then on Friday, when no one's around on basically 75% of the volume that we usually do, and much lighter than what we've done, the market rockets up. So it's
Yeah, we're a good 500 points off the low from
right.
last week.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's actually amazing. I think the Q's got down to like 82. They're trading it like the high of the whole move is like 601, 602. And as we're on the podcast, the Nasdaq's exploding up. I mean, just exploding. Um, so here's where we sit. And, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the market reacts. I think there's a lot of headwinds. I'm just, listen, obviously not right
Well, yeah,
about.
you mentioned the government shutdown. Polymarket has it at like an 85% probability of happening. So a lot of it is priced in. The market doesn't seem to care.
I will tell you that that is definitely not true. If the government shuts down, we're selling off. Okay. I don't know how much we're selling off, but we are selling off. Okay. I think, I think that the market thinks that something is going to happen to basically avert this because so in the poly market betting market, what does that mean? Is there a hard date? Because they may push it another month. So what does it say on the poly market bet? What is the bet? That it closes down by the end of the month, or is it closes down at
By
all?
September 30th, the one I'm
by,
looking at was
by what?
September 30th, by
Okay,
Wednesday.
right. So that's a date certain. That's so they're saying, hey, they're not going to push it. They're going to close the government. I don't think the market believes that, because if it did, wouldn't it be a little bit sketchy? Someone I talked to, involved in the market is like, oh, if the government shuts down, then we'll have our sell off. But I guess they don't believe the government's going to shut down. And, you know, the S&P futures
Or
just,
they don't think it's relevant for now.
why wouldn't it be relevant? I mean,
Because
people are going to,
every time we've had government shutdown, yeah, there'd be maybe a couple of days of anxiety, and then the market just would come
Eric,
right
what
back.
if the government shuts down and stays shut for months, which is very, very possible. Very possible. Um, you got a different president. He's not backing down. He does not care, okay, to back down, and he'll take it to the mat. And it's just a matter. Listen, it's a matter if they can get 7 Democrats to go over the line and vote for this thing. That's it. There's no other. There's no other real answer. So that's the tape we're in. Market continues to move higher. Um, the interesting one is oil today. I'm surprised we're back inside the range again. Frustrating all traders out there, but maybe you can buy this. Maybe you can buy oil against this level or a little lower level. Um, we're going to look to do a little.
Actually, I think yeah, if you want to buy oil, I actually think gasoline RBOB would be a better trade, and it would reflect in the stocks with like an integrated oil play, like a Valero or a Marathon or something like that. But I think RBOB is probably a better long than oil if you want to get long.
Yeah, I don't really trade gasoline. I just trade crude. I don't really even trade crude spreads. I just pick the direction that I think that oil is going to move in. It's hard enough to get one thing right. But I'm thinking, if the government shuts down, what does that do to the bond market? I think there may be a trade there. Maybe backs up yields a bit. I don't really know. I mean, are you able to bet on Polymarket right now? I know they're trying to get U.S. approval, but I don't think they have it.
I haven't tried, but I don't think so. I don't think so yet. But about the bond market, since the Fed cut rates on the 17th, it's been weird. Like the yield curve has been flattening. It hasn't really been going right. Like they're expecting more cuts, and the curve isn't doing what it's quote
Well, I
unquote
would say
supposed.
to you, I would say to you this: why don't we take a look at what Fed funds has for October? Because I would say, and I know we talked about this last week, and I don't know why you or Thomas or anybody hasn't found a way to play this, but there's no cut in October. I'm telling you, this thing is going to go down to basically zero, especially if this jobs number is positive. And I would be interested, you were chirping
That would
in.
be a career bet. That would be if you could get that. That's a big trade because they're pricing in 89% right now.
Right. Still?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that it's not going to happen. I, the stock market is ramping. It doesn't stop. Um, it's out of control. What's going on, you know, so we'll see. And really, you don't have a lot to say this morning. I could see that. What do you, I don't know. It's, um, so anyway, we got pending home sales today, a non-event number at 10 o'clock. I know you were focused on the housing market. Um, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm sure they reversed and
No,
went back up.
I had a short on Toll Brothers,
Mm.
and I got out of it. It's not. I'm confused. I'm confused by the market here after the Fed cut that we got on the 17th. Some markets are telling you that we're not. That it doesn't look like we're going to get rate cuts in October, like you said. And then the markets that are supposed to be sensitive to that aren't reacting the way they usually do. So it's a little bit confusing. Like I'll give you an example, like the gold and all these interest rate sensitive areas of the market should have been kind of down on this, and they've been rallying. Gold's been rallying, and I'm a gold bull. I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, it's getting a little bit overbought, and then it gets even more overbought, and all of a sudden, silver starts correlating with the AI trade, and I've been sitting in silver for a while, but then you start to see that correlation with the AI trade, and people start talking about it. It kind of makes you want to get out of it a little bit, but it's just ripping. So the market's really kind of fragmented, and I don't think there's a clue anywhere here. I think it's just kind of like a very fragmented kind of market right now.
Really? I mean, it seems to me to be the farthest thing from fragmented. It seems to be the bubble keeps expanding. The excuses of why it's expanding keep expanding. What you saw a little bit last week, especially on Monday, was ridiculous with Jensen Huang coming on CNBC to talk about a deal, okay, with OpenAI, who has deals with 80 different people out there. Like they're the entire AI market. They're going to spend 5 trillion, like some crazy number of which they don't have, and they don't have a product, and it's kind of it's kind of voodoo magic. So we'll see how long that voodoo magic works. Nasdaq is in fuego stoked as we're on the air. I mean, melting up. It literally, like, what, Thomas? What's the closing high in Nasdaq? The Nasdaq futures. I mean, we're like right there after going down. We had 3 down days. They were like on TV freaking out. 3 down days, and they've retraced all of that pre-open in a day and a half. So you know, that's where we're sitting. And really, I don't know if you have any stocks that you're looking at.
Oracle, yeah, Oracle. I shorted last week. Bought puts on Oracle, and finally, I think there's some skepticism coming into the market about Oracle. It got downgraded by an analyst last week. And here's a quote from JP Morgan: Oracle stock jumped 25% after being promised 60 billion a year from OpenAI, an amount of money OpenAI doesn't earn to provide cloud computing facilities that Oracle hasn't built yet, and which will require 4.5 gigawatts of power. That's two and a quarter Hoover dams, as well as increased borrowing by Oracle, whose debt to equity is
Here,
already pretty
here's a
high.
question. Here's a question. Okay. Like, why does AI need all this power? Like, what are they doing? Like, what is can you explain to me what is the power doing? Like, why do they need so much power? Power to do what? What is AI doing that needs this kind of power? Can you explain it to me? Like, when we're doing our webinar, basically we're saying the facility that we're looking at to power up powers the city, actually all of California on full, every light on. Like, I'm not understanding, like, what are they doing that they need this kind of power, and how come before this happened they didn't need any power? I'm just trying to figure out what it is, since
They always needed power.
I'm an old
These
gray
data
guy,
centers
I'm
are
an old
getting
man. I
huge.
want to understand what it is that needs all this power. Tell me. Tell me. I'm curious to know. Literally. If you don't know, that's cool, because I don't know.
Look, the data centers are getting huge, and it's just more and more. They have to run them, and it takes a ton of power, and it is what it is. I don't,
Well, let me say this. The only thing I know about data centers, okay, is my roommate from college, okay? My roommate from college, all right, had one of the biggest data centers in the United States before it was even in vogue. He was like the first guy. It's a company called Xand, okay? He sold it for a fortune, okay? I went to it. I've been in it. I don't Have you been in any data centers in your life?
no.
It is actually the coolest thing ever. It's literally, oh, he had like 100,000 plus square feet, even more. And all it was servers sitting inside of cages. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the whole data center. No people, no anything. He's like, oh, yeah, that's Amex. Oh, that's Visa. That's this. So my question is, he was running the biggest, or one of the biggest data centers in the entire country. Okay. He didn't have gigawatts and gigawatts and whatever. He was running a lot of power. I'd love to, get him on the show so he can explain it all to you. But I'm not understanding I keep asking, and you're not really answering, like, what the power is for. Like, what do they need that kind of power to do? What? Like, to store information? Like, what is it?
Listen, for something, electricity prices are at an all-time high right now.
I get it, but
So
I'm not getting it. I think AI, listen, this so reminds me of the internet bubble. It's just the same. Listen, this is different, and I'm not suggesting, companies are going to go out of business. There are going to be a lot of companies that do, but Nvidia is not going out of business. But Nvidia, could take at least a 50. These are chip companies. At the end of the day, Nvidia is a chip company that's literally trying to engage deals with people by basically paying the way for them to buy their. I mean, it seemed like if you read down on this OpenAI deal, it's kind of like dirty pool, right? It's like, oh yeah, if you do this and buy our chips, we'll give you money. I mean, so I think we're early innings. The story is yet to be written. I'm happy for people that are long that these things are working out, but It's like I can't even go out to dinner without telling me they bought this stock at 3 and it went to 12 and they're not selling because it's going to 25, and they're in Spartal computing or whatever. I don't even know. So the froth is out there. Just be cautious. We have the end of the quarter, government shutdown. Obviously, for whatever reason, it's stock to buy. So, on the opening, we'll see if the market can hold today. It would be an interesting day. I mean, it would never happen because it never does, but it would be an interesting day today if we open up like this and end down on the day. That would give people something to think about into the government shutdown, into the month end. But again,
The market's already up so much pre-open. 6,700 calls on the S&P are kind of bid at like 290 right now. I think
okay.
that's a good one. That's a good one right there.
A good one to do what?
Sell call spread 6,700.
Yeah,
I'm
but
thinking.
what? Okay, so what are you buying against it? Dude, I love the way you tell these things. You're like, I'm in toll. You talk about toll every single day, and then you come on and you're like, I'm out of toll. Well, from now on, you have an obligation to this show to tell
Okay.
people when you get in and out of trades, not like 4 days later after it rallies, go, oh yeah, I got out of that. So like you're saying, sell the 6,700. What are you saying to buy?
A 10-point spread gets you $2 right now. I think that's pretty attractive.
Okay,
6710, 6,700.
okay,
Something I'm looking at.
okay. I
Only
mean,
question is it going to try to leg even higher at the open? I think even if it does, I mean, you think we're going to close above 6,700 today?
I would hope not. I don't know. I would doubt it, but who knows? This is a crazy market with crazy people in it. So that's I thought I was looking differently. I thought maybe we open here and then we fade when people get a little bit nervous. But everything is listen, it only holds true to the upside. It never holds true to the downside, which is interesting. Like this period right now is the weakest period of the year, supposedly. And we're freaking rocking, So I don't know. Maybe the strongest period will be the weakest period. I don't even know. Like to me, I never really noticed this being the weakest period. What I always noticed as a trader, okay, and someone that stood in the pit and somebody that really saw a lot of stuff, I always felt like October was the scariest month of the year. Nothing even came close. I mean, there were so many different events, mini crash, the regular crash of 29, the crash in 87, a lot of hiccups in October. So, I think we're gonna see whatever we see, coming into this month. And I think the story of the year has not been written. I think people are underestimating the Trump administration and how they feel about being right or wrong, meaning, if you don't go our way, we'll shut for 3 months. He doesn't care. I mean, he'll fire everyone and shut, you know. So I think it's now on the Democrats to see if they're going to play ball. And I don't think they're going to play ball day one, which is tomorrow. So, there's a meeting at the White House today. I'm sure, it's not going to go well. Usually they have a lot of time. So, usually the first couple of meetings before the panic don't go so great. So, I'm just surprised that the US stock market is up. It's not a lot, 60 basis points. But after last week's action and Friday being really I don't know if I'm going to use a holiday. It felt like a holiday. It's the weirdest thing. It felt like no one was at work on Friday after having like a down week and they snuck the market up. um, you know, and saved it. Listen, midday on Friday, the market was lower. I mean, it was lower and it just crept up, crept up, crept up. But I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand why volatility is ticking up because I think we're going to get hit here. Okay. But like if this was a real move and sustainable, don't you think that I'm not saying vol would be down today because you have uncertainty, but it wouldn't be up sort of the way it is. And I bought some puts for Wednesday, just I would call them throwaway puts, just in case. And they were expensive. I mean, you want to talk about you're looking at 6,700, which is like 30, 40 points away. I bought puts that are 160 or 150 out, and they weren't a dollar. They were like three and a half, and going higher. So to me, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on in the tape. I
Well,
think.
so you're looking at cash VIX, but the VIX futures they're not up today.
Mm, I'm sure they're not. I'm looking at the cash. Listen, I'm not trading VIX futures, but I'm looking at the cash, and listen, that's not what people that trade VIX are trading. But that's what people that are looking at the market are queuing into to get an idea of whether VIX is up or down. Most people don't trade VIX futures or even know where they are. You know what I'm saying? So, like I was looking out in December, all of last week. Where's the D's VIX future now? It was above 20, even when we were rallying. So I don't know where it is now, but it was 20. So I don't know if it came into eight. Where's the D's VIX futures?
Let's see.
You have them?
Hold
It's trade 19.65.
Yeah, it's almost 20. It's 19.65. I mean, why would it be 19 spot? Doesn't that seem high for a market that's busting, new highs every single week? Something is going to happen. Okay. That's what I believe. And that's what these Listen, if you think nothing's going to happen, I would not do this trade, but you should sell these VIX until the cows come home. Because if nothing happens, I'll tell you this, if nothing happens in October and maybe the beginning of November, those VIX futures are going to come into 14 because in December, you got Santa Claus, you have eight ways to rally to Sunday. Santa, his sleigh is coming, you got to buy, so it's leading me to believe that there's potentially some type of hiccup that's going to happen, in the next few weeks or less. So, and if you don't think that, I don't suggest it because when you're wrong in VIX, you can have your eyes ripped out of your head. Okay. But that's probably the place where you would see the most. So maybe looking at buying October puts and selling December puts might not be a bad way to play it. But,
that trade went really well about a month ago, and the spread between far dated VIX and short dated, is pretty high. I mean, that trade could work, and that trade would have worked about a month ago. You had an even higher spread, calendar spread there. So, and it's still very high. It's as if the market is expecting a lot of volatility, but just not right now. They're like, you know, we have a little bit more time. It's like they're procrastinating out just a couple of more months, another month, every
I
time. So
I don't see. I mean, I don't see that. I mean, like I just said before, if there's volatility coming, you know, it's coming in the next 3 to 4 weeks at the most. It's not coming in the middle. Like once you get to November 15th, the year is basically over for the most part. I mean, yeah, stuff has happened. We've had big moves in December, but really, we've had, it's funny. Like, if I think of December, like I was thinking of October, how, I think it's the worst month of the year. I don't care what the TV's telling you. And, you got to buy on Monday, sell on Wednesday, buy, sell Rosh Hashanah, buy Yom Kippur. That didn't work. There's a bunch of, you know, antidotes that they throw in the market to give it some seasoning, but I don't think those things hold up. That's just my opinion. But overall, we're going to look for weakness after the opening today. Like, I would actually look not here, but if Nasdaq comes in like 50, okay, 40, I would look to sell some weakness. I think I'm just surprised that the market is not even a bit thinking about the government shutdown. It's not afraid of anything. It's certainly not afraid of the jobs numbers. Um, Bonds can't hold the bid. They're going to hit 420 maybe today. The bond market completely reversed. Let's look at the DAX. The DAX is on the low tick of the day for the most part, down 50 points. Every market, not every market, I'm sorry. There's footsie's up, but overall the MIB is down. They're if you look at all the markets, I would say the Euro stocks are down a tad. But why aren't they up? We rallied Friday. They haven't rallied. So DAX is up 18 percent. It was up 26, 27% in February. So it hasn't rallied in months and months and months. If that happened to the United States stock market, it would be like the crash of 87. People would be jumping out a window. If they didn't have wins for 5 months, Eric, they can't go 5 days without wins. It's like, where are you going to look next to find the next scam stock or whatever? But I would be, for me today, I'm going to sell some weakness. If Nasdaq gets weak, like 50 points from here on the downside, I'll start selling aggressively for the next few days. But the one thing, like again, I want to point out, people watching, Wednesday options are very, very high. So I mean, I'm thinking, yeah, today is whatever. They have the market up. They're feeling good. But if this government shuts down, I think I think it's going to upset a lot of people and upset the market. It's just an unnecessary thing that doesn't really make sense to have happen, but it's a political tool, and they're playing with fire. What if they shut the government? We go down 5% in a day. I mean, anything is possible. I mean, people are going to be pissed. I mean, it's a waste of resource. B, it's a waste of time, and C, people who need to get paid. Like you said, oh, it's going to affect the release of government numbers. Yeah, of course it will, but it's also going to affect every single person that works in the government that Trump, is angry with, because he thinks it's all wasteful spending. They're not getting paid. So how does that work? I mean, I'm sure they can get a loan against their paycheck or whatever, but it doesn't put people in a good spot. So I think the market is rather complacent about that. And
Is
that's
that where your secret puts are for Wednesday? You have secret puts for Wednesday?
they're not worth talking about on the air. I told you how far out they are. They're 120 points out. That is, so you could figure out where that is. I got those. I don't think, you know what? It's funny, like people that subscribe to me and that are with us at the Opportunistic Trader were able to get a quad witching trade last week. When, the week before last week, I bought, this is the craziest thing. I bought puts on the index, on the SPX, okay, on Tuesday, okay. We bought them. The market came in very little. These puts went up 40%. They went to zero, okay, but they went up 40% in 4 hours, okay. They almost doubled. Like if we had any type of down move, it would have doubled, and my subscribers were able to make 40% telling you straight out. So that's the kind of stuff. the market becomes a little bit uncertain, which we're the thought thing, like uncertain, but if we come in and we come in hard, like I know you don't see it and it's probably not gonna happen, but if like you open like this and then you sell off hard and end negative, my puts are gonna double. They're not even gonna be close to the money and they're gonna double in price. That's how this works. So we saw that last week with quad 2 weeks ago with quad witching, where we were completely right on option volatility. We bought these at like a 14 vol, and interday they went to a 20 vol. And we didn't even go down. So what do you think's going to happen when we actually go down? Where do you think these puts, like no one has them. Nobody has these puts. So, you know, it's interesting. But today, to me, I know we're up. I'm surprised we're up. It may have something to do with something that we're not aware of. But I'm just turning right now to look at my board, and bonds didn't really hold the bid. Okay, oil lower. I don't know if that's good or bad, but oil
Goes
is
off
lower.
to OPEC.
What?
OPEC is just going to continue increasing supply. That was the news over the weekend. So it's
Right.
lower. I mean, it's just going to probably be range bound. I don't think. I mean, I got short, but
Yeah, but my question is, this is what I don't understand. Unless there's a bigger game that the U.S. is playing with these countries in the Middle East. Um, you own You love baseball cards. You own a baseball card, okay? Why would you flood the market with three Pete Roses, okay, rather than harbor your Pete Rose, not let it out, and drive the price up? I mean, so why would the people that are making the product want the product lower? There's got to be a bigger story, okay? It doesn't make sense. For forever and ever and ever, I've been trading crude oil since the early 80s, okay? So that's probably 43 years, okay? And in that 43-year period, I would tell you that OPEC never wanted to dump oil on the market. So there's got to be a bigger picture here where they're getting paid either under the table or some type of deal to put crude out there to stabilize the price and make the price go lower. And what's interesting about it, and I would say this to you because we were there, like when they bombed Iran, oil went into the 80s quickly, right? And all of a sudden, within like 3 days, it was at 60, 62. So I think there is an inherent put option to just keep the price of oil low because Trump likes it. He likes egg prices low. I don't know if he's looked at the pricing on some of these groceries. It is actually amazing. I mean, you can't get out of the grocery store, you know, with a family for less than $500. Okay, I don't know how people do it. I mean, I don't have a lot of people living in the house with me, and our grocery bills are extremely high. So I don't know
it's
how
not
a family
reflecting.
of five
Somehow
or
the
six
CPI is not
does it.
showing anything.
What is,
CPI is not showing anything. The PCE hasn't been showing anything.
Eric? The numbers that came in last week were so in line that it put it in line to another level. Okay, so the numbers that are going to come on jobs are going to be in line. Okay, there's not. You know how, like, what's his name? Powell doesn't want surprises. He wants to tell everyone what he's doing, this, that, and the other thing. Okay. Our government is the same. Okay. They don't want, nobody wants surprises. Okay. They want the numbers to be in. It was never like this before. I mean, I remember trading, this is a long time ago, but Easter Friday, where the markets weren't even open, but they released the jobs number, and it sent the bond market limit down. Okay, in a day where there was no trading. I mean, there was trading. This is a contrived rig that you're trading. Just Just know that, okay? That these algos, they know what they have to do and they continually do it. And they want to push what I call the gamma button, which means, zero DTE options, are in the money or at the money. They push them through, then they push them down. I mean, they know. Listen, I know this sounds crazy. They know your position. They know my position. They net aggregate. They're able to somehow get into these clearing firms, whether it's IB. I don't know who's doing what, but they have all this information at their fingertips. But anyway, we're running late today. I hope you guys got something out of the podcast. Again, I'm going to turn to the right where my screens are, and I can't see anything that's has the market up this much. So again, my game plan is to buy some Wednesday puts for yourself, just because you have time on your side, unless they either push the deadline or do a deal, which I don't expect, especially today. So I think you're going to see an increase in volatility behind this government shutdown, and they took the down move that looked like it was going to happen, especially in Nasdaq, out of the market. But I don't think the story's been written today. So again, I'm hanging in there, looking for weakness to sell. If the Nasdaq comes in 50 on the futures from here, excuse me, were you talking?
No.
Oh, okay. I heard something in the background. If the futures come in like 40, 50 from here, I'm going to be aggressively trying to short, um, but also buying
From
Wednesday
here, that's where you're going to start the short. Okay.
in Nasdaq. Well,
Oh,
that's a
and
lot.
I thought you were
No,
talking.
not S&P, Nasdaq. No, that's like 10 S&P points probably.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it comes in 10, we'll look to aggressively get a little bit short, S&P and Nasdaq. But for now, we're going to sit tight, let these algo crazies do their thing, and we'll see where we end up. But I do think there's some uncertainty. And listen, you're saying VIX is coming in, but it's not coming in all that much. December VIX touchdown T just said is 1965. So it was above 20 on Friday early, so it's down like not a lot. So on an up move, um, we're not down a lot, and hopefully today we get some trading. But I want everybody to get to it. We're 8 minutes from the opening, and I wish everyone luck. And we'll be back tomorrow with the scorecard of today. But keep an eye on. I think they could sell them today, but we'll see. I don't know why they're so complacent. Buy Wednesday puts. That's my trade of the day. S&P.